Welcome back, Epic Online Campers. This Saturday, we're going to be celebrating one of the best animals or insects, the honeybee. Not only do they give us honey and beeswax, but they pollinate our fruits and vegetables and some flowers and allow those to grow for us. So it's really important that we take care of bees and plant flowers and make sure they have plenty of pollen so they can keep making honey. So what you're going to need for this project is colored paper. I use two different colors. One for the outside and one for the inside if you want to do that. And then I textured the background. So what I did is I printed with tempera paint using a plastic fork, a marker at the end of a pencil, and I kind of stamped paint over to make texture. If you don't want to stamp, you don't have to. You can draw inside of these. Get creative. You know I love when you guys modify these however you like. So creating a texture for the background, and then I'm going to show you how to draw these bees, and then we'll cut them out and glue and collage them on top. So glue, scissors, two colors of paper, something to draw with, preferably a pencil first, and then if you want to go over it with a marker or Sharpie after. So I'm going to go ahead and go with this gold cardstock I have for the middle, and then I'm going to use the orange for the outline on this one. Okay, so I want to make my honeycomb kind of big, so I'm going to start with my straight line at the top. Once you have your straight line on the top, we're going to come out on both sides. Okay, I'm going to make this a little bit longer. And then we're going to come, and sometimes it helps to spin it another way when you draw the other side to make sure you're making it symmetrical. So now we're going to come back in, and then a straight line on the bottom. Okay, so let me spin it around. I'm gonna kind of even out where I think it could be shaped a little bit better, and don't worry about all the lines. We're gonna use this as the back. Okay, so once you have the shape, go ahead and cut that out. Okay, and now you roughly have your shape of your hexagon. What I did now is I just went through and kind of cut off. If you see a side that looks too big, you can just go through and cut it to make it look a little bit better. Okay, once you're happy with the shape, we're gonna go ahead and glue it down to our second color. And if you don't wanna add a second color, you're welcome to just leave it this one. So I'm using Elmer's glue, but you guys can use a glue stick, whatever you wanna use. I'm gonna glue this down onto my background paper. Remember, push down and count to 10. Okay, and now I'm gonna cut out along the border. Okay, so now you should have your hexagonal honeycomb. And I actually read that they make it a hexagon because they can fit the most amount of honey in the space and then save space between the honeycomb. So instead of using circles where you'd have big space in between, these can kind of tessellate and fit perfectly together where they can maximize the honey storage space. Okay, so now that you have this, go ahead and we're going to decorate this. So you can use markers. I'm gonna stamp with some paint. If you have bubble wrap works so good at making a texture inside of this. I did not have any bubble wrap, so I just stamped mine with dots. I kind of used a plastic fork. I see the sun's kind of in there. A plastic fork, and then drew some circles. So if you want to get some markers, if you have paint and you want to make some printing with paint, I'm going to use a marker that I'm gonna stamp with. I'm gonna use a fork to create a texture. I also have a pencil to stamp with, and I also have a paintbrush to paint designs. Make sure if you're using something to stamp or print, we are asking our family first if that is okay to use. Okay, so go ahead and gather your supplies if you wanna hit pause, and then let's go ahead and start adding textures to the background. So I just made a plate of paint using colors that will mix well together. So I'm gonna take my marker, I'm gonna stamp some circles around. You're welcome to just color this in as well. Okay, I'm gonna get my fork, I'm gonna grab some red paint, I'm gonna kind of stamp with my fork some of these lines going different directions. And don't worry about it hitting the wet paint. I think it looks kind of good when it mixes in together. We just want to create some texture on here. Okay, I'm going to get my paintbrush and do a couple. Do some small dots. All right, now it's starting to look colorful. If you want to go in with your marker and draw, you can even draw on there. I even drew some hexagons in my first one. Okay, awesome work. Get that as textured as you want. All right, awesome work. Get that as textured as you want. And then we're gonna set this aside to dry if you used paint. Even if you were stamping with markers or drawing, go ahead and set it aside. We're gonna draw our bees and then we are going to glue them on top of this honeycomb one. But I'm gonna show you how to draw the side view of the bee and the top view of the bee. Okay, so let's start with our side view bee. And we're gonna start with the head. I want you to make almost like a teardrop shaped head. So it's gonna come, you don't want it to be a sharp point, almost like a leaf, I guess. So go ahead and make a leaf teardrop shaped head. And then we're gonna draw the eye. So I'm gonna make a big oval at the top. I'm gonna put 2 shiny circles. And then I'm gonna shade in that eye. Okay, once you have the eye drawn, we're gonna add 2 antennae to the top of the head. And next we're going to draw the thorax. So that's gonna be the second part of the bee. So go ahead and draw kind of just like an oval shape. And then we're gonna go ahead and add some fur to this. So I'm just gonna draw some squiggly lines. If you wanna draw some lines coming off, they have a furry thorax because when they go and collect pollen off the flowers, the pollen's like the yellow dust you see coming out of flowers, they use this hair to collect that and bring it back to the hive and make honey out of it. And then this one I should add some fuzz too. Okay, next we're gonna add the last part, the abdomen, to it, and that's the part that has the stinger. So I'm gonna come out, and you want this part to be bigger, so like a big oval, and then we're gonna put a triangle or a stinger on the back. And then of course, it would not be a honeybee without its classic stripes. So I want you to draw some stripes going down that abdomen. And then go ahead and shade in your stripes. Now I'm using a black pen. You can use Sharpie, pencil. If you would rather color these in realistic colors to get some gold and black and use whatever you guys want, I want you to make this project, you know, modify it however you want. Okay, shading in my stripes. And then I'm gonna add some legs to my bee. So I'm going to add 2 legs in the front. And I'm gonna add 2 legs back here. And I'm gonna draw some fuzz on those too because they actually use their legs to collect pollen as well. Now this is gonna be a little bit hard to cut out, and you can see on mine, I didn't do a perfect job of cutting those out, but just do the best that you can. Okay, now to show a bee from the looking down on it, like this bee from the top. So we're gonna start with a circle. So I want you to make a circle for the bee's head. Now we're gonna need to draw 2 eyes because we're gonna have an eye on each side. So I'm gonna go from the side of the head and I'm gonna draw an eye on each side. That's looking like a bug, huh? I'm gonna go ahead and add my shiny circles. You don't have to do that. And then go and shade in your eyes. Okay, next we need to add the antenna. This time I'm gonna draw them coming off the top of the head over here. So this one I did a little bit more detailed and I drew, you know, some of the segments. So if you wanna look up a bee and actually make it very realistic, it's a good way to learn kind of the biology and how their bodies are made up. So I'm gonna go ahead and shade in my antenna. And now I'm going to draw the thorax. So I'm gonna draw another big circle for the thorax. And remember, it's fuzzy, so I'm gonna go ahead and draw my little hairs on it. Okay. Just realized, big thing I left off the first bee, it's wings, obviously. How else is it gonna get around? I'm gonna jump back up here and draw the wing. So I'm going to draw a big wing, and then it kind of has a second little wing that comes off next to it. And then on the wings, it's really fun to make some texture and pattern in these. I'm going to use some lines. If you look at a picture, and they even have little circles, so you can kind of get fun with your decoration on these wings. Okay, so back down here, because now we got to draw the wings on this one. I'm going to draw a big wing on each side. And then I'm going to draw a smaller wing coming off of that. Just like that. Again, we're going to create our little wing textures. And again, look up pictures if you're trying to make it super realistic. Okay, now let's go ahead and draw the abdomen on this one. We're gonna draw, remember it's kind of like a big cone. Almost like a light bulb, like a small light bulb, okay? Once you get that shape, remember we got the stinger on the end if you wanna exaggerate your stinger. And then we gotta add these classic stripes. So go ahead and draw your stripes and then shade them in. Okay, then we gotta add our legs. So I'm going to draw my, I'm gonna pretend like I can't really see my front legs because the wings are blocking them. I'm gonna draw those back legs. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw it kind of fuzzy, because remember we said they pick up the pollen with the fuzz. So I'm gonna draw like the big part of the leg, the smaller part of the leg, and then the little end of it coming down black. Okay. So now we're gonna go ahead and cut these out and collage them onto the honeycomb we made. So I'm just gonna cut out one because I did already prep these, and I did this one on colored paper. So if you have colored paper, you know, go for it. Okay, let's see, I'll cut out this big one over here. Okay, once you have all your bees, we can go ahead and glue them down. If your picture's still wet, you can let it dry longer, but I'm gonna go ahead and glue mine down. Even though it is a little bit wet, I'll just let it all dry together. And the reason why bees are so cool and so important is that they pollinate a lot of our fruits and vegetables and flowers. And when they pollinate them, it allows them to grow. So if we didn't have bees, we wouldn't be able to have a lot of the fruits and vegetables that we get to enjoy all the time now. So when you see a bee, I know sometimes they're scary, but as long as you don't bother them, they usually won't bother you. Try to make sure you're taking care of bees by planting lots of flowers. They really like lavender. They like those smelly flowers. Okay, once you get your bees all collaged down, you are done. If you have siblings, it might be kind of fun to line these up and make kind of a collection of them, or just making multiple ones yourself. Go ahead and send us a picture if you want to show us what you're working on. Also, for the next 5 weeks, I will be in some of the videos, but we are actually going to be showing Arts in the Park lessons. So that is the class that used to take place at the library. We're going to be showing videos that we are making for the next 5 weeks. And I will be in one of those videos as well. So I look forward to seeing you guys' projects for those. We have a lot of really fun projects planned. So I'm looking forward to that as well. All right, thanks you guys, and I will see you next time.